Yo,
Here we go.
What is up?
Welcome back.
welcome
Good to see
back.
y'all.
Good to be back. It's good to be back.
That's right.
Y'all
Everybody
ready
have
for
good,
a full slate of 60 football games this weekend or what?
Hey, I'm just glad I can actually pay attention to football this weekend because there's not so much going on. So that's
There
a
we
big
go.
plus for me.
back in the saddle?
We are.
Still got to squeeze in the World Cup soccer between everything else that's happening right now. It's been kind of weird.
It has been,
It's been
man.
fun, but weird.
But I tell you what, not like working like full time out and about and actually being able to sit here and like pull up World Cup games on the computer while I'm working on the computer. Phenomenal time.
Yeah, it's
10
not
out of 10 recommend.
I don't know how y'all
Yeah.
prepared, but I mean, that's the football that I'm ready to talk about for the next
Oh,
3 hours.
the footy, the beautiful
No
game.
doubt.
Real quick, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I hope everybody, had great meals. That turkey breast I cooked was immaculate.
Whew.
Just great time.
How's the stuffing?
We don't do stuffing. We don't do I got killed on Twitter for that, by the way. Absolutely
No,
killed.
You're correct. You were correct.
Yeah, no, I got slayed, dude. When I said turkey like stuffings on the bottom, people were losing their minds. Not a stuffing guy here, sorry guys.
Dressing for me, it's in a
Oh.
good cornbread dressing or an oyster dressing.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
where it's at.
Okay.
oh yeah.
Okay. Speaking of where it's at, Nelly, Cowboy, take me away.
Man, I tell you what. And so I know, Spend, you've gotten to experience big wins over rivals, really basically just for the past like 10, 15 years, and competing for championships. The good doctor, you've gotten won a championship in the last 15 years here. I haven't won in Columbus since I was in elementary school. That's how
Yeah.
long it's been since Michigan's gone down there and won. And not only win, just thump them. I mean, just take their souls from them. I couldn't believe it. I'm wearing this right here. This is really the last thing to be excited about, the last like big win for Michigan. Obviously, Ohio State last year. This is the 2011 Sugar Bowl here. That it is. Kids, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. There's better things out there around the corner when you least expect them. And I can't believe it. I never would have guessed. I went down there fully expecting for all the talk. Ryan Day's going to hang 100. They better have a mercy rule. The night before the game, all the players talking about this is all they've thought about all year is to come and embarrass us on their home turf. Going there, first quarter, I'm sitting in the dead center of the Ohio State student section. And let me tell you what. So I'm in row 29. I turn the stairwell to walk up from row 1. And the most profane things you could ever imagine were said by men, women, children, everyone that's there, middle fingers inches from my face the whole walk up. And all I could do was just smile and wave walking up there. And they had a lot to say the first quarter and to some degree in the second. And really the whole second half, it was really nice. It was just me cheering. There wasn't a Michigan fan within 100 yards of me in any direction. And so, anytime a big play happened, I had to make sure they heard me down on the field. So, all things considered, it was awesome. Can't believe that we went down there and did it like that. And the Ohio State, the program, man, they're folding up shop. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're falling over themselves. They want Ryan Day fired. The most fun I had outside of the game is I went home or went back to the hotel and listened to local Columbus radio. And let me tell you what, man, the shows that they were talking about there, they want everybody gone. They want a clean house. They want Urban back. It was just, they don't know what to do with themselves. They want to fire everybody because they lost 2 games in a row. So absolutely fantastic. Made it out alive. It was awesome.
So tell me the story about, were you planning on going to the game the whole time or was it a last minute decision?
Yes, it actually worked out as a miracle here. I planned it back in July to go. So I got my tickets to fly up there, got the hotel. I just had a good feeling. I was like, job I had before this, I could never be off on weekends. I always had to work the weekend after Christmas or after Thanksgiving. So this is really my first chance to get down there. And I was like, you know what? They say everybody needs to go to the shoe. Let's go to a game. I didn't get tickets to the game until Friday, and that's why I ended up in the student section. So all things considered,
that's a ballsy move. That is a ballsy move, especially going solo. So you couldn't get anybody to go with you?
So, I had a few people on the docket to go up with us. A couple of them, basically didn't end up working out. So I ended up going up with a friend of a friend who was an Ohio State alum. And then my buddy who's a Texas fan. So neutral party. And yeah, they led all of us here the whole way. Ohio State guy obviously was right at home, but me and my Texas buddy, he was like, what, did you bring Michigan stuff for me? I was like, man, honestly, for you, just wear your regular clothes. I think you can be better off. But yeah, it was a good night in Columbus, going to the bars after and keeping my Michigan stuff on.
Other than obviously the big house is a big house. Any other stadiums that you've been to that have kind of rivaled that experience? Any other top-notch experiences?
I tell you what, man. To their credit, and as much hate as I got, and there couldn't have been more than 1,000 Michigan fans out of 110 there in Columbus. It was unbelievable experience. All the fans were in it. The band's Script, Ohio. I mean, it was pumping. Like the stadium was rocking. The stands I was on were bouncing up and down. Tennessee Stadium's fantastic too. I would say if you haven't gone to a Tennessee game, that rivals that experience. Between the hedges, if it's a big game, can be a lot of fun. That's kind of in my opinion, kind of hit or miss. I've been to a lot of games down there. But I really want to get up to a whiteout, Happy Valley. Mm-hmm. That's kind of next on my list. I'm actually Michigan at Texas in 2024. If you boys want to go down there with me, I'll be going to that one.
I mean, that's 180 miles from me.
Live show. Let's do it.
I'll hop in and drive.
Let's do it. So I got to give Harbaugh a little bit of credit because I'm definitely someone who said at least the last couple of years that he should be gone. That he's not going to fit. He's not going to work out there. Just some of the antics he did, but I think he's like finally kind of found his spot and just kind of like just himself now and comfortable in his position. But I give him credit, man. He's done much, much better than I ever anticipated. And it's funny because like during those games, my buddy of mine keeps texting me in this group text, and all he can say is Ryan Day can't recover from that comment about third base. Like there's no coming back from that born on third base comment. Like he's got the upper hand on him from this point forward because he's right. He was probably spot on with that comment. But I got to give credit to Harbaugh, man. He's there now and he's doing his thing and beyond my not want to say wildest imagination, but I did not have many expectations for him after the first 4 years or so. But he's come back strong.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Think 23-1 in the last two regular seasons. I mean, after in 2020 when everybody wanted him out on a rail, and the years leading up to that, choking every big game. It's been night and day. It really comes down to his assistants. Done a really good job reloading because we lost both our OC and DC last offseason, so replaced both and kind of kept it moving. But yeah, to your point, I think even the wildest fantasy of any Michigan fan wouldn't believe what we've been doing both last season and this season.
Now you got to finish it off. That's right.
I was going to say, I mean, and how are you feeling with it's all right in front of you? It's right on the doorstep. Most likely you're not playing Georgia in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks from now. I mean, how are you feeling, for the stretch run?
Man, it's really tough. I think it comes down to if I believe we could actually win a championship. I don't know. I think Georgia, it's just their year to win it. But I can't believe that I am in this position to be cheering for a team that should go to the playoff. Will be favored against everyone but Georgia. Would love that game. It sucks. It's in SoFi Stadium, which is super bizarre that's where the national championship game is at. But my wife's a UGA alum, so we'll probably have to watch in different houses. So see how that goes.
That'll be fun.
I'm sure y'all figure that out. Good problem.
Good run. Are you excited at all about this Purdue matchup?
I kind of just want it to be over with, because this is how I felt against Iowa last year, where it's like we have this big emotional breakthrough of a win, and then you play a team that you should smoke. They got it done against Iowa last year. This Purdue team seems terrible, but if we come in unprepared, they're going to do all sorts of shenanigans to keep it close.
So real quick, I'd like to point out that I literally wouldn't have put $1 on Michigan to win this weekend, honestly. Wouldn't have put $1 on it, honestly. And I wouldn't even have – I honestly just – I couldn't believe it. Like, in that fourth quarter, man, I felt like I was watching, I thought I was watching like Navy or Army just run the ball down somebody's throat. It was honestly kind of shocking. Like I didn't see that coming. It's like every time I do something, Michigan get the ball back and they'd score another touchdown on a long run. And I'm like, what the hell am I watching? So, it
Well,
was
hey,
just incredible.
Mike Barrett, linebacker, fifth-year guy, it's been through it all. He said the start of the fourth quarter, he could feel their will break, and then they knew it was just over. So, I mean, it was one of those that the Jim Knowles came in, did a lot of great things with their defense, but went cover zero to basically offset what they did last year. So Michigan ran down the field methodically last year. They're like, all right, we're not letting that happen. So they sold out against the run, left no help over the top. So we bombed them for that in the second half. For whatever reason, they continued to leave no help over the top, and our O-line just kind of took over. But yeah, I never, to your point, I wouldn't have advised anybody to bet us even covering the spread. So it's crazy.
But can we go back to at the beginning of the season when you said that Ohio State was going to have the greatest offense in college football history, and then Michigan goes into Columbus and runs the ball down their damn throat? Just
hey, I was sitting there talking to my buddy after the game, and I was like, yeah, I got to talk to the good doctor there and apologize for coming into this year where I said this could be the greatest offense of all time, and they scored 3 points in the second half at home against us. So there you go. Definitely dead wrong.
It's crazy to me that y'all say that. Like, they were 2 top 5 teams, no doubt, throughout the year. But Ohio State never just got to the level that I thought they were that great. They weren't playing anybody. They could certainly put points up on the board. Sometimes they wouldn't, but we didn't have to make a pick last week. What was it, 7.5, something like that? So I don't know if I would have been on Michigan. But to say, like, you would have never even thought about putting a dime. I mean, did we already give Ohio State the trophy? I mean, I'm starting to think maybe
this is
Georgia's
my thought process.
Far ahead of everybody else. I don't know.
This is my thought process for that, Beza. Like, honestly, I didn't think Michigan was a top 4 team. 100% did not think that. I didn't. I thought they were vastly overrated. They've kind of just, they've done what they've needed to do. And I thought this would be the game where they were exposed for the frauds that they are. But obviously, that token flipped to the other side. So, that's honestly where I was at with it. I didn't see Michigan as the world beaters. I was very hyped to watch it happen because I'm like, holy shit, like this is a good time. So.
Michigan, they have fresh legs, man. They played nobody this year. They better finish the season strong, right? But I mean, to their credit, they won the game they had to. And Ohio State, the injuries, I think, kind of caught up with them. Never really kind of getting healthy and having their whole nucleus of offensive talent. And listen, Stroud was good, but I'm glad he's not going to win the Heisman. I was not excited about him being a Heisman winner just with the way he's played and the schedule they play. It just hasn't been a whole lot there to kind of hang your hat on. Looks like it's Caleb Williams to win, but at this point, I think what McCarthy did down the stretch was impressive, and it's a good thing Harbaugh turned him loose and let him go with it because he's the difference on that team, I think, offensively and opening it up. So I don't know if Michigan will close it out, but they got a great shot at. And like when you look at the top teams right now, it's kind of a weird year because it feels like I think Georgia's has kind of clearly been the most dominant. I think Michigan has shown flashes, but I think we still are kind of like.
Yeah.
Are they like what are they really like? Are they a Georgia-esque team? Or are they still a little bit a notch below? And then, you have a bunch of teams that are kind of in the mix that kind of all have an argument, right? It's like, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson now obviously kind of drops out, but a lot of teams that are like pretty good could make an argument for being in there, but there's not really a clear dominant team outside of Georgia right now. And then maybe Michigan.
And I do like the fact that at the start of the year, like, I was like, I think this is a wide open field, for the playoffs and stuff like that. And, honestly, like, I'm glad that the season has played out this way. I think it's been a very good college football season just because it's not the usual Bamas, the Clemsons, stuff like that. Like, I feel, I know for you it's not, you know what I'm saying? But for somebody like me, like, I've enjoyed it, Like, because if my team can't be on top dominating, you know what? I'd rather just chaos everywhere, so.
Yeah,
it was weird, bro. Like the last 2 weeks when Alabama truly, I mean, there was always an outside shot, and who knows what could happen this weekend. I don't think they would put in Alabama over Ohio State, even though I think you have an argument despite what the number in the loss column is. But it's been weird the last 2 weeks watching football, and it's never meaningless, but it doesn't really have much significance. You want to beat Auburn, obviously, and win that game convincingly, but not really playing for anything is a weird feeling.
Walk a mile in my shoes, buddy.
Look, I can't believe I was a Kansas Jayhawks fan this weekend. Like, hook 'em Hawks. Like, I literally, those words came out of my mouth several times on Saturday, and I was like, yo, what the hell is going on? So, that's just the way the cookie crumbled. So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other, I guess, big news this week has been, at least for me, has been watching the Auburn hire. I don't know what you guys thought about the addition of Hugh Freeze. I mean, I can't believe I got a number of thoughts. I'll save them. I'll let you guys kind of give me your thoughts. I'm curious, as people that are not in the SEC, I know you're all around it, Nelly, and plenty close to it. And Cerveza, I know you're, and you, Doc, are on the cusp of the SEC anyway. But just curious your thoughts on Freeze landing at Auburn.
Why did they go that way? Like, I don't see the fit. I don't. You watch what he built at Ole Miss, and it's just, I don't know, man. I don't understand the hire. If any of you three understand the hire and can give me a breakdown as to why this was a good move, then please, by all means. I think it was a terrible fit. But the question is, who else was there to hire?
Mm-hmm. So basically, what do you think, brother?
I mean, and I don't have a bajillion thoughts on it. I mean, I'm super pumped about my 32-year-old head coach that I got cruising in.
There we go.
And I'm like 50 minutes away from SEC country. I mean, I'm right here. They're almost in my backyard. So it almost kind of made sense. I don't have any great things to say about it. I'd just be stumbling over words. But clearly, he put together a competent program at Liberty. And Auburn doesn't care about the baggage or whatever else might come in the future. It's about winning right now, and they'll get through anything else that might happen. And I think it's going to be an exciting brand of football. And I think they're going to, Auburn's going to be fine. Let's put it that way. They'll compete some. There'll be some off years. I was just kind of shocked. It's like, since I went to that game in 2012, how many coaches have they been through? It's just like, nope, not working, you're gone. Nope, not working, you're gone. So, I'm expecting 4 or 5 years, a little success, a little not success, and then he's gone.
That's probably a great summary of what actually will happen. So, looking, I'm in two minds. One, I think the guy can coach. I think he's a good coach. I think he's demonstrated the ability to be a really strong offensive coach, to be a program builder. The flip side of that is that I can't believe anybody in the SEC hired this guy, like, period. Because, I mean, it's astronomical levels of baggage. It's hold your nose and just like, no. I mean, the guy, I can't believe that he's able to coach college football games, period, again, after he got the Liberty job. But rehabbed his image all the way, went to the best university for doing that. And I don't know. Like you said, Cerveza, I think he'll be there a few years. I think Auburn's the kind of place that lightning can strike, and hell, he could win the SEC. But I think also he'll, you can't, turn an outside cat into an indoor cat. I just feel like he's going to be back up to his shenanigans and get run out on a rail. But very interesting hire. I guess at Auburn at this point, you have nothing to lose, right? I mean, you got to spin the wheel and try and hope you land on a winner. But I think the guy can coach. I legitimately think he's a great coach, but I just think that's a lot to take on.
Yeah, he's a bit slimy, right? I mean, he just uses religion so heavily, and then you see what his actions are, right? So like you just continue to kind of put that together, and it's hard to reconcile that. But he can coach, and he beat Nick Saban a couple of times. I'm sure that played into it a little bit, but it is just like a ultimate, like it's a bomb you're sitting on, right? Like it can blow up at any point, and if it does, you look like the biggest idiot for making that hire. So we'll see what happens. I think they've already kind of like the rumors are they've already taken away his Twitter account. Like they won't let him use the Twitter account. He denied that in his press conference, but then like a couple questions later, somebody asked him about it. He's like, somebody else manages my account, so I didn't see a lot. Like somebody asked him about something that's been talked about online on Twitter, and he said, I didn't see that. Somebody else manages my account. So I don't know if you kind of let that slide a little bit there, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I mean, give Cadillac credit. He got the team fired up, man. They were playing hard for him. Mm-hmm. And, to kind of, I think a lot of the Auburn family, as they like to call themselves, are kind of upset about the way this has kind of turned out with Cadillac, who's an Auburn guy and an Auburn man, and turning their back. Not necessarily. I don't know his role is going to be on the staff, but I know they want to keep him around.
Yeah, like they said, associate head coach.
Yeah, so he's going to have a spot, but it's kind of turning their back on him and not give him a shot after he rallied him, dude, and got him playing pretty hard.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all turns out, but it's interesting enough down in Auburn. What about you, Cerveza? You mentioned it, 32-year-old hire.
First guy born in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean,
nuts.
We're excited. I think one thing that's interesting is they let the fan base, whether this was the right move or not, the fan base wanted this. So they succumbed to the pressure. There's so much pressure on Anderson, how he's even still there. People don't know. Mike Crow's up back and forth, the president, on whatever he's going to do. But it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting. The guy's been to the Southeast. He's been to the Northwest. He was a high school offensive coordinator, I think, at 23 towards ACL coming out of high school. So, I mean, the guy's just a coach. That's what he does. They're trying to, build a fence around the Valley in Phoenix, but it's like if you still miss on the top 2 or 3 guys, which we always do, numbers 4 through 9 aren't going to do that much if you can't get the other places to. So it'll be interesting to see how he builds out his staff. But it's exciting. Tom Herman, I think, could have had some success there, but considering I've lived through Dennis Erickson, I did like Todd Graham, just kind of all fell apart. I don't know if y'all remember. We actually were going to hire June Jones, and there was a Twitter revolt, and they had to tear up the contract and hire Graham. And obviously I've complained about Herm all year. So let's try something new. We got nothing to lose. He's young. I was thinking we're going to lose all these players. Well, maybe he can kind of resonate with them. Yeah. Our kicker's back. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I know somebody that knows the kicker, and he was like, yeah, if the special teams guy's gone, then the kicker's gone, and he's already saying he's coming back. So I think it'll just infuse into the program, and we're a fan base that expects something that other people are when it hasn't been deserved. So it'll be very interesting. I'm excited. Anything's better than 3 wins in Herm.
So real quick, guys,
any thoughts?
So I'm over here making these faces. So I put up a deer camera in the woods today for the first time, and I have deer at the spot that I laid corn, and I'm so excited right now. I'm jacked. Anyways,
there we go.
Go get us some venison. We'll hold it down for what?
Hey, I've got some. Right I've got some at the processor right now. So this is just exciting. Anyways, sorry guys.
I mean, do y'all know much about Dillingham? Y'all have thoughts? Good fit, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said of bringing in a young guy in a program in transition here, where circle the wagons, and most importantly is giving him time, because every demonstrated thing I've read, 247 rankings, stuff like that, he's a great recruiter, and you got to give those guys time, because it's like Marcus Freeman, phenomenal recruiter. Are they going to give him enough time in Notre Dame? At Arizona State, give him enough time, let him build. I think he can build the fence around the Valley there. I think he can go out. Back speaking to your experience of his time in the SEC, of his time out west, give him a chance. I think it's all upside at this point, and I think Herman, like you said, could have been a good fit, but I like the idea of throwing the dart at this one.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good track record, right? I mean, he's got a pretty good pedigree, and he's a hometown kid, and plenty to like in that respect, right? So I think that's good. And the young coach. I'd imagine they're going to give him as much time as they need, right? I mean, this is going to be a 5+ year hire no matter what.
If
right?
you're not planning on doing that, you're expecting the wrong thing. And I didn't mention it earlier. He went to ASU. He's from the Valley. His press conference, I mean, he was crying to open it. He's like, those people were in my wedding, and my family's right there. So, as long as the distractions stay away, which, I mean, he's a coach. I'm not too worried about that. It's as good a shot as we have.
Yeah. The staff's going to be important, and I don't know anything about him as a recruiter. I mean, he could be a really good recruiter. I have no clue. Obviously, that's a huge part of it now, and just being able to manage such a different landscape. I mean, you're taking over a job. Yes, you got to be pretty good at X's and O's, but you have to be. I mean, I almost feel like it's 55-45 off field versus on field now, right? Managing the transfer portal, managing your roster, recruiting kids every year, both high school and college. There's a lot off the field. So, it's hard to judge a guy completely on what he's done on the field. So if he can do all those things, he's got a great chance. But I think it's open for that school and another school in the Pac-12 to kind of rise up, right? I think that there's that opening there for them, especially with UCLA and USC leaving. The door's kind of there for them to kind of take hold. So we'll see. I mean, I think it could be a great shot, but I like the fresh blood. I like going out and get somebody different and not just recycling the same old name. So credit ASU.
What's the worst thing that can happen? You win 3 games.
Yeah, you get met at the goalposts after a game and said, "Hey, we got a meeting in the morning. Come on over." Along those same lines, where do y'all think Dion ends up? And do you think he should
getting
wait
his hats
it out
out this weekend, right? Isn't that what he's
He's
doing?
making a pick this weekend. Yeah.
He said he's got it down to 3, and he's going to do it like a recruit, I think. But
do y'all think? I mean, Colorado, I think is kind of I won't say a sleeping giant, but I think you can do really good things in Colorado. I mean, we all know how good Colorado's been in the past. And you can get Cordell Stewart to come out and rally the troops for you, but USF, I mean, is that really an attractive position? In Cincinnati, too, same thing. Like,
so here's
maybe
just because it's the Big 12. I mean, not the Big 12. I'm sorry, the Pac-12. Like, I don't know. Is that going to be the sticking point there? Or does he sit it out another year and next year something crazy happens and he's staring at, a top 25 job?
Yeah. Well, I almost get the impression, and I obviously have nothing to back this up, but he hasn't been listed in all those other major jobs, really. Like, these are really the big ones he's been kind of connected with on a legitimate offer basis. So I don't know if high level kind of wants him to take a stepping stone job, because this is his first time coaching. What do they give him the keys to a Power 5 program? So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but that was my impression seeing these jobs that he's got it narrowed down to.
Oh, he's kind of scared me. Oh, I mean, I'm not frightened by Dion, but the situation scared me all season long. Where it's no, Auburn's not going to be like, hey, Dion, you did 2-3 years at Jackson State. Come on over here. These big programs are definitely not ready for him. He's going to have to prove it. So then it kind of becomes, where can you do the best? I mean, yeah, USC and UCLA are leaving in 2 years. Colorado is so bare. He could fill it up, but for him, it's where's the best place that you can go and win now. I think South Florida could probably be a quick turnaround just because the conference they're in, and Cincinnati as well. There's less pressure at those places. And do it for 2 or 3 years, and then those bigger programs will come calling. So honestly, if I were him, as much as I'd love to see him in the Pac-12, if I were him looking to move up, I'd be looking at Cincinnati or South Florida to see if you can get a quick turnaround, do that thing Sumlin did or Herman did or any coach that can go and put 2 or 3 good years together, and boom, now they're the next hot thing at a big program.
Yeah, I mean, South Florida makes the most sense when you lay it out like that, and he can walk into the living room down there and be the guy, right? That's what he's going to do. And I got to think okay,
they got a new stadium coming in too.
Yeah, what do y'all think? There's any chance a guy like Dion, who's Florida State through and through, could he take a Florida or Miami job? Because I feel like the way those two are trending, you never know, but in 2 years at South Florida, 3 years at South Florida, and all of a sudden one of those 2 jobs are open, would he, or even Norvell, if something happens with Norvell or he leaves, I can't imagine that, but would he step into one of those positions? Is that possible?
I went to say yes because of the money, but then I realized we're talking about Deion Sanders. So I don't know, man. That's actually a really good question.
I mean, he flipped Justin Hunter from Florida State on signing day. So, I mean, obviously that's to his own benefit, but I don't know, man. I kind of feel like Neon Dion, man. I think he could definitely take Miami over, just to be feel like, hey, let me prove it here.
It would be wild to see him in Miami, though.
And I can't speak for Dion, but I think most of any of those guys in that profession will take any big job they can. Antonio Pierce was at ASU. Didn't Darryl Royal go to OU, or he coached at OU?
Yeah. There's definitely plenty of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I if somebody's going to hand him the keys to Miami and, $7 million a year, I don't think he's going to say no unless he sees, Florida State will be open next year or something like that.
He would be the Miami hire, though. I mean, he would fit in 100% in South Beach with
oh my God,
the bankroll and the swag. And they need somebody that's got that energy to get anything going down there. Did y'all see that this past week, the last game of the season, they had 0 students request bus rides to the stadium? literally zero students went to the game and requested, but I think they had 40 in the student section, but they did not run a single bus with students. That's how bad it is down there right now.
That's crazy.
That's wild. But if he did take the Miami job, as soon as that Florida State job is open, if he's having any success, it's like, here's $50 million. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to just throw everything at him.
Yeah, no doubt.
What about thoughts on, can anybody succeed at Nebraska? Matt Rule, can anybody do it?
No. I think that ship sailed, honestly.
I think Nebraska is super tough. Obviously division realignment's allegedly going away in 2 years, so that probably makes it even worse for them because they couldn't even succeed in the West. I mean, it's if you look back to why was Nebraska good? I mean, they had great coaching, and then they built a brand back when you could be a singular brand. Now, UConn has the resources that Nebraska does. Obviously at a smaller scale, but I mean, I think their big competitive lead and their competitive edge went away. There's no local talent. They're at an extreme geographical disadvantage. What helped them when they were in the Big 12 is they could still get Texas kids and be like, hey, we're going to play Texas, in Texas every other year. We're going to play Texas A&M, et cetera. I think they're a bad spot. I do think Matt Rule can coach. I mean, he's built some outside of the Panthers, which, I mean, I think you can give anybody a pass for failing at the NFL level if you're a good college coach. But I mean, he's done really well at the college level, and I think they just need to take a shot at something, and I think he'll be all right.
I think he's a good hire. I mean, I think to think back 3 years ago, he was one of the top, younger coaches in the game. And, like to your point, Nelly, I mean, the NFL is a different animal. I think it sounds like he was trying to be very in control of that franchise, which I don't think works as well as maybe college, where you can really have structure in place,
like Urban,
and succeed there. Yeah, so I think you'll do all right. I mean, I just think they're so hungry there. There's got to be money to be spent there on NIL stuff and to rally the troops. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel like they're going to ever recover and be what they used to be. But it doesn't take that much for something to actually happen and turn around, right? Let's look at what Duke's done. I mean, they're obviously very different scenario, but you get a decent coach in the right situation, all of a sudden you win 8 games, 9 games, and get things going. And they beat Iowa. Like, they got a little bit of something to kind of build on, bring him in, and now, like, hey, let's see what we can do with this. But I think you'll be successful. What is successful at Nebraska, though? Is it being what they were in the 90s, or is it just like winning 10 games again? Like, is that enough to make you happy? So
it almost sounds like what I'm hearing from y'all is, if Rule can't do it, I don't know who can. If somebody
Dion.
like that,
we'll send Dion.
He's a one-stop shop.
Wait, why aren't we talking about Dion going to Nebraska? Like, why Colorado? Why not Nebraska?
They should.
No, but honestly, though, like, to your point, though, I think Nebraska becoming competitive again in whatever the division would be is honestly a win. And I think Nebraska needs to realize that, and their fans need to realize this. This isn't the 90s anymore. This isn't college football that they grew up on. Like, it's a completely different animal now. So,
no, I think they're well aware that it's not the 90s because they're losing a whole bunch. But I was talking with somebody this week, and it's like, maybe they just need to get back to pounding the rock, being tough, look like Wisconsin,
get the triple
option, try and look like Wisconsin. Yeah.
Hey, I will say this, though. They dodged a bullet with Mickey Joseph with the news of him getting arrested today. So maybe things are like kind of starting to go the right direction. Not to make light of the situation, but like they avoided a huge PR problem and back to square one kind of issue had they made that hire. So maybe that's a sign that maybe karma or things are working in their favor again a little bit. I don't know, but I think they got a good AD and they got a good coach now. So let's see if they can put it all together and get things rolling. I hope they can. I want to see them back in college football towards the top. Like, that's the one program we have not seen literally in like 30 years be any good. So we'd love to see them back towards the top.
Ever since Cole McCoy got that ball out of bounds right in time.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so are we done with coaches? Because there's something that I think we need to talk about next.
I mean, we can. Just really quickly, I was surprised that Leonard didn't end up the coach of Wisconsin. I hadn't been paying attention, so I don't know if that was a shocker or anything. But I remember when they got rid of Chris, like Leonard was going to be the guy. So that was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, it's a good hire.
Yeah.
It's a great hire on that. It's crazy they ran off Leonard. They tried to
salute to you, Delino.
But that was a shocker to everyone that I knew that's a Wisconsin fan. They all thought Leonard was going to be the guy. So, but hey, Fickle can coach, man.
All right. We got to talk about this cat. This cat in South Carolina.
Your boy.
Guys.
Look at
Did
those
it just for
numbers.
you.
I mean, look at those numbers. Actually, look at those numbers because I don't think he has put up that many yards the rest of the season combined. Honestly,
That's crazy, man.
And I'm literally pulling it up right now because I'm curious.
It was like the last 5 games combined equal those two, maybe, or something like that.
There was a stat I gave maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So 2 weeks before he started this, he had, I think, 6 touchdowns and 9 interceptions through 7 games or something like that.
Yeah.
And 8 touchdowns, 2 games.
I mean,
man,
it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
And 2 wins.
He hadn't thrown for 300 yards since that loss to Arkansas in September. Everything's been 118, 187, 212, 177, mid 150s, 200, and then he throws 438 and 360. Like, way to just completely put an egg on my face. He's still a bum to me, though.
I remember the chat, man. They were when I think I bandwagoned South Carolina at one point this season. They went on the following week to lose, but like no matter what you say, I feel like Beamer's doing some good things there. Again, they're not going to be a team that goes in and is going to win 11 games a year, right? Like they are South Carolina. They're going to lose some. They every year, and they're going to maybe pull off an upset every now and then and compete for the East if the division stay, every couple of years. But dude, what odds could you have gotten that South Carolina of all teams would be the one that kind of spoiled the end of the season? Because all we talked about, and I'm guilty as anybody, is that like Tennessee and Clemson, their seasons are like pretty much over. Like they can kind of coast to the finish line. Tennessee was in the best spot possible. They were just sitting on the outside, ready to come in as soon as somebody lost. And Spencer Rattler just picks apart both these two teams. And to go into Clemson, I mean, the Tennessee I understand because their secondary is awful, so I can kind of see like them giving up those yardage. But going to Clemson and coming out of there with the win. Also, you got to point out Dabo, loyal to a fault, should have pulled the hook and gone to Klubnik there at the end. But listen, chat's quiet now after all that talk about SEC, ACC stuff. I'll tell you that.
All these teams have been listening to the show, and Tennessee and Clemson got fat and happy, and South Carolina was like, "Are we just going to let them talk about Rattler week after week, and then they'll take like 2 weeks off, and then get them again?" So. I think A&M was listening too.
Hey, shout out to A&M. They win their most important game of the season this week. I mean, whatever, right?
Great. Yeah, pretty wild chaos. It was like 5 of the top 10 teams lost. I mean, it was pretty up and down. It's what you live for here, and I can't believe Spencer Rattler, man. Literally nothing was leading to that. He was just patiently waiting for a team to explode on. I mean, I don't know what was going on here where he just sandbagged all season and nuked the 2 top 10 teams he plays, but that was wild.
Speaking of nuking the top 10 team, I know you might not have, Nelly, but did y'all catch the way Oregon lost? Like, how do you?
Oh, I'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's get to. We can get to sad. That's a very strong sad. You're on the right.
Yeah, that's bananas.
Well, what's the hype next year before we close out Spencer? What's the hype? Is he a Heisman front runner next year coming off of this finish this season?
He was top 10 coming into this year, wasn't he? On odds.
He needs to stay humble. Stay humble. Stay hungry.
Yeah.
And Mr. Steele, drop your squad in the chat so we can know who you root for.
So I think it's only fitting that we talk about the king of the West Coast next.
Oh,
the king of the West Coast, Nelly. Caleb Williams.
These former OU boys of yours. They just back-to-back slides.
Look, man, I you know what? And that's funny because I didn't realize until you said it, but yes. So, I hopped on the Caleb Williams bandwagon a long time ago, and he's just literally, to me this year, he's done what needed to be done, Their only loss was, the fluke to Utah, but, other than that, I mean, name a bad game he's had.
Well, he's had a fairly easy schedule, but to me, all season, I think we talked about it earlier, like I've been looking for a player to just jump off the page.
Right.
Running back like Reggie Bush, a quarterback like Vince Young, somebody that can just wow you. And I think I've seen it a little bit just watching Pac-12 games. Like this was the only guy that throughout the season I just kept being like, how did he do that? So it's been impressive to see.
Man, it's a lot of fun watching him against Notre Dame, and he looked special from the moment he came out last year against Texas. I think that he kind of wins by default, which is not meant as an insult, but it's probably the reality. Is to your point, Cerveza, there hasn't really been anybody else that's been like jumping off the page saying, "Wow, he had his Heisman moment." I think Caleb did against Notre Dame, and the odds now reflect that.
He's been doing that all year. I mean, those numbers are pretty sick. 3 interceptions.
Yeah, no doubt. 34-3.
10 rush touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Fernelli put it pretty good. Caleb Williams is on the verge of winning a Heisman. Lincoln Riley's on the verge of reaching the playoff. Spencer Rattler beat Tennessee and Clemson, and they're going to go 8-4. And Oklahoma just lost in overtime to Tech to finish 6-6.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better right there. But you know what's funny?
Lincoln Riley will probably go into the playoff and lose by 20 points too. So
as is tradition, yeah.
But you know what's funny is I was looking back because he got that job like a year ago yesterday, and when he first got that job, I literally made a Facebook post. Yeah, Facebook, and I was like, "This is a fantastic hire," because I'm like, "This is where this is just a smart fit for Lincoln Riley." And a buddy of mine, big LSU fan, he's like, "Of course it is, dodging the SEC, blah, 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 blah." Well, look what he's done in 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
So.
In a pretty strong Pac-12.
Yeah.
I'm still withholding judgment.
Certainly an elevated.
Pac-12 is. They finally got to win out of conference against Notre Dame, but again, beyond that, like there's some good teams. I'm not going to question that, but I still don't think they're like as good as we see, and we'll see how they show up in the bowl season this
Always
year.
Terrible in the bowls, yeah.
If they can do anything. But look, USC's got a great chance. The turnaround has been remarkable. I think it's a great obvious pick when they brought him in, especially when he brought over Caleb Williams to go with it, and then brought over the Blitnikoff winner to pair with that. He's going to be able to get guys out there right in the transfer portal to LA with that offense. Like it's set up kind of perfect for him. But again, let's see what they can do in the playoff because their defense is still atrocious. I mean, it's still like they're giving up like 6.5 yards per play, nearly 100th in the country. So they have a lot of work to do there.
Do you guys know who is the number 2 in the odds for the Heisman now?
Still Stroud?
No.
It's somebody that was in the top 3 over the course of the season.
This is somebody that hasn't been in the top 10 all year, I feel like. Max Duggan of TCU is the second odds now at 21-25, and Stroud's at 2,500.
Yeah, no surprise. Stroud. I mean, Duggan, like he's been as valuable as anybody to his team.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not going to be anywhere close to where they are without him there. And the fact they continue to win games, I'm sure Cerveza, we've been saying it all year. Last game of the season, they're going to lose by a field goal.
Yep.
So
no,
it's finally arrived.
Not going to be the last time you hear that tonight. Let me tell you what.
All right.
Yeah.
Is it time, Cerveza?
I mean, I've been very happy all day. Let's go ahead and flip this on, script on its head.
Yeah. Going from glad.
Yeah.
You're muted, Cerveza. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite time of the year. I was just trying to talk over the music. I was like, I don't even know if this is working, but we're just going to go with it. It's sad time. Nelly, you sounded like you had something you wanted to share with the class.
Man, I got a great one here. Saw it in person. I didn't get season long ones here. I just got one for you here tonight. But if anybody's seen the video, at the end of every Ohio State home game, they all come over to the student section and they sing the alma mater, and at the end they do the OH thing. and the whole team standing there in front of me and I don't know 17 students that are left, and the band's playing their alma mater, and Ryan Day's on the end, and he kind of hits him with a little flail and just walks off. I mean, I wish I could have had a more like close-up video. Thankfully, the internet provided that to me, but I saw it happen live, and it is just the funniest. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So it makes me glad, and unfortunately, it makes Ohio State sad.
For everybody in Columbus, that does sound pretty sad. Spin, you got anything?
I mean, just from recent weeks, since we've been gone, just some of the rivalry games, man. Sad. North Carolina, sad finish for them. Sad finish for the ACC in general, the way they kind of closed the door. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, rumored to be a new coach at Auburn. Then, he's answering questions after a loss to Mississippi State in a game they should have won at home in the rain when they had the running attack going against that passing attack. Just overall sad to see there. But I got a little season long sad. I'll throw your way real quick, since we're degens here in this show and in this project. We talk a lot about gambling, so I thought we'd throw out a few against the spread numbers, season long numbers. So if you guys had to guess, and I think we've touched on a few of these during the show this year, but there's 3 teams this year that only covered 2 games against the spread. The bottom 3, nobody was worse than that, but those were the 3 worst teams. 2 wins against the spread, 2-10. Can y'all name any one of those teams? I'll give you a couple of guesses. We won't sit here all night doing it, but can you guess?
Oh, I got one. It is probably my second most disappointing team of the year, Miami.
Yes, sir. 2-10 against the spread. You're correct there.
By 12 points per game. By 12 points per game.
Wow.
Disappointing. Yeah. Wow. Now I'm kind of curious.
Man.
I'll give you.
I don't have a clue.
The other 2 are in the Pac-12.
Colorado.
Colorado is 1. Yes.
Let's go.
That's crazy.
So
2-10, and their average margin of victory, just in general this year, was negative 30 points.
Stanford, the other one.
Stanford.
That was going to be my
one.
guess. Yeah.
Yes. Look at
us. We all 3 guessed one. Look at us, man.
So much so that David Shaw had to walk off after that, and that's going to be a tough job to turn around. Speaking
who
of
wants that job? Like
with the requirements to get into school, and it's just going to be
NIL and transfer. Yeah.
Be tough there. So surprisingly, no Mountain West teams on there. But let's go to the other side of the coin. Let's go to the point total, over-unders. There are 2 teams nationally that had just one cover to the over all season long.
Holy
just
smokes.
One. There are two teams, but just one cover. Can you name either one of those? I'll give you a hint. One is in the SEC.
Well, no. I was going to say Georgia.
Okay.
All right.
Nope. Not Georgia.
Oh, no. Okay. They were a big
Georgia covered 4 times, 4-80.
You said how many times? You said they covered once?
One time.
Florida.
All season. Nope.
Oh,
Kentucky.
Okay.
Kentucky 1-11.
Okay.
To the over. The other one is a favorite. One of my favorites all season long. I gave you some of their numbers offensively a couple weeks back.
Colorado State,
baby. One of the worst offenses in the country this year. 1-10. 1-10 to the number. Virginia was 2-7, but those are the 3 worst teams. So there's your sad survey. So if you're a gambler, now you could spin the other side, and if you had been going unders all year on those teams, that would have been a beautiful thing. You would have been 2-1 with those teams, but no.
I was going to say, don't forget it, people out there. Like, betting the under is a lot of fun.
That's right.
It's not fun.
Vegas wants you to bet the over, bet the under. So I love that. I love the guessing games there. That's good stuff. DeCatcher, I know I stole Oregon. Did you have anything on the sad side of things?
Yeah, I've got 2 season long, and Jason actually brought it up. Kansas State starting 5-0, and then just their quarterback. Kansas, I'm sorry. Kansas starting off 5-0, and then losing their quarterback, and started losing games. That's sad. I'm not sad about this. I'm actually happy about this. But Ole Miss football, the last 5 games, 4 losses out of 5. I did call that sad. Other than that, I mean, there hasn't been a lot to just be sad about. Like, I've just enjoyed this season, honestly. I really have. But You know what? Actually, yes. One more. A&M, they still suck. Sad.
Mhm.
Brian Kelly losing your last game before you go get dismantled by Georgia.
Mm.
Sad.
Brutal.
There you
And
go.
Kansas, for the record, going bowling.
Yes.
Bowling,
More
baby.
than ASU
Hey.
and A&M can say, that's for sure. So, yeah, they kind of started with like the season-long trends, and we'll get to that on my end of things in a second. But I just want to focus on one thing, and then we'll go back to one of our favorite punching bags for the last time this season. And it's just the letdowns that we saw over the last 2 weeks. We'll start with Clemson up 30-21. And when I say letdowns, I mean letdowns for you could have been on the outside of the playoff looking in, or a New Year's Six bowl. So Clemson up 30-21. There's 4.5 minutes left in the third. They didn't score again. They lose outright to an on-fire South Carolina team that we've already talked about more than anybody would have thought all year at this point. Two straight top 10 wins. Clemson, in my mind, was in that catbird seat. Somebody falls, they're the next one in. They lost, so it's wasted, and it's sad. Somebody brought it up earlier. North Carolina, 2 weeks in a row. They lost to Georgia Tech. They scored the first 17. They didn't score again. Georgia Tech scored the last 21 straight. And then the next weekend, turn around and lose to NC State. They never even led until overtime when they got the ball first. So for North Carolina, a team that had a chance to beat Clemson, or still has a chance to get into New Year's Six Bowl, but maybe outside looking in on a playoff, definitely New Year's Six Bowl. That is sad. We'll get to Oregon, which DeCatrio was trying to get us on earlier. They blew a 21-point lead with 20 minutes left versus a pretty darn good Oregon State team. Let's give them a lot of credit. There were 3 touchdown drives in a row that Oregon State had to take the lead, where they rushed on every play. And I was going back to look like how that could happen. And Oregon State got a great kick return plus a 15-yard penalty. A couple, 3-4 rushes later, they're in the end zone. Oregon gets the ball back, muffs the punt. Oregon State recovers it 2-3 plays later into the end zone, and then they went for it on a 4th down where Bo Nix got stuffed on 4th and short from their own 29. And that was that. Oregon State with the dub. Oregon, a chance to play in the Pac-12 championship and get into a New Year's Six Bowl, and they wasted it. So sad. Finally, LSU, the former hottest team in the country, let A&M look like the team everybody expected them to be all year. Maybe this was LSU regressing to who they were, like Spin's been saying for weeks now. But if they would have, if they could have gotten a win over Georgia, they had a chance to get in to the playoff, I do think. Instead, again, they're the team Spin said they were going to be, and we'll see if they are just puppy chow this weekend. And let's talk about A&M one last time. I didn't think we were going to have to do it, but let's be real. When you rush a field against a team, that was only supposed to win 7 games this year, you only won 5. You were supposed to be number 6, started the season number 6 in the country, and you're rushing the field after that victory. It was a big win. But I just don't think it was so deserved. They beat a top-ranked team. But it kind of seems like a head-scratcher. Maybe this is just the participation trophy generation trying to, touch the sacred ground of Kyle Field. I'm not really sure. And I've been thinking about it. And next year I might try and get like a super deep dive on all the teams that rush the field and come up with like a ranking system for when it's deserved, when it's not deserved, because there's been a lot of questionable rushing the fields this year. And then I had some notes earlier that I kind of forgot about. Apparently Florida State rushed the field over Florida. It was a good season for Florida State, but I'm not sure Florida's the team.
They shouldn't even have won that game, to be honest, but continue.
Yeah, that was a crazy game.
And yeah, and I'm sure some of that emotion kind of plays into what gets you onto the field, but just another week field rushing, and so that was sad. Just kind of put a bow on what y'all were talking about, just season long. My top 3 underachievers for this season: A&M, Michigan State, and Miami start number 6, number 15, number 16, and there was a 3-pack in there from the Big 12: Oklahoma, Baylor, and Oklahoma State, number 9, 10, and 12. But they all made bowls, but it was very disappointing. And, let's end sad on kind of an uplifting note. Let's go with the overachievers this year. Tennessee started number 26, got up to my personal number 1, my super sexy, super serious number 1. LSU number 30, which, I would have thought that would have been lower based on their season win total projection, finishing 9-3. Kansas State Jason, you were talking about them earlier. They started number 38, and UCLA started number 44 with votes. TCU didn't get one preseason top 25 vote.
What about Tulane?
Yeah,
Green Wave.
absolutely.
You know,
Tulane.
Tulane.
Yeah, absolutely. See if they can finish it off. Beat Kansas State.
Great list. Great list.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask you a question, and then I totally blanked on it, and now I'm upset.
That's pretty sad when you figure it out.
That is sad.
It is sad because literally it was like it just went in with what you were talking about, and now I just completely blanked. And yes, I'm actually very sad.
So I got some news that'll probably get us to our next segment, guys.
Okay.
This came in here just recently. But the Rose Bowl has come to an agreement with the playoff, so they have signed on, and we are on board for a 12-team playoff starting in 2024.
No way.
Yeah, just happened.
Man.
Did you guys see, speaking of Rose Bowls, did you guys see that
crazy.
they actually want to pick Penn State over Ohio State if Ohio State doesn't get into the playoff?
Well, Ohio State last year didn't sell out their allotment of tickets because they view the Rose Bowl as a letdown for missing the playoff there. They didn't show up in good force. They had a bunch of player opt-outs. So the Rose Bowl actually walked away from that pretty offended. So that it's a moderate level of retribution on their behalf of them passing over them.
Okay. See? The more you know. I actually didn't know that. So
yeah.
All right. Speaking of playoffs.
In 2 years, this will just be half of the field.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's right.
Real quick, hold on. If we look at a 12-team playoff right now, this is what 12 teams look like.
Well, we got to throw Tulane in there, right?
Hey, 100% the green wave, 100%. Yeah, but this would be a 12-team playoff right now.
We'd be talking about some teams that can maybe sneak in here late potentially. It'd be interesting, but we'll have plenty of those conversations coming up. But what did you guys think of 5 and 6? That's where everybody's eyes were this week. Were y'all surprised at all? Did you think Ohio State might drop a little bit more?
No, honestly, I thought this is where it would be. With LSU losing, of course, I would have been curious to see what they did if LSU had won. Like, would they have put LSU at 5 and Ohio State at 6? That would have been. I would have been curious to see that. But honestly, other than that, I mean, who's the 6th best team in the country? It's clear and away Alabama, in my opinion. So I think this is correct. I don't think Ohio State should have fell any further, to be honest with you. I still think they're a really good team, but that's just me. I tell you what I don't want to see, though, and I'll be brutally honest with you. I wish somehow SC could flip TCU, because watching TCU in Michigan would put me to sleep, and I think SC and Michigan would actually be a fun matchup. That's just my tea right here before conference.
Well, you don't think we'd get SC and Michigan in the championship game? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think SC is going to be a ton of fun in the playoff. Their offense is electric, but like Spen said earlier, their defense is atrocious, and I think the other 3 teams will be able to take advantage of that. But their offense is awesome, so them against TCU would be a lot of fun.
I mean, y'all know what my main issue with this whole screen is, right? I mean, Michigan number 2. I just it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. But I think TCU should, they're what they've done this season. They should be number 2.
Okay.
To me, it's just undeniable. Michigan's out of conference schedule was weak, and the only team. I mean, obviously Ohio State, a very good team. What's their best win after that? Penn State, and what's their best win? Purdue. I mean, that's pretty long way to get down the line there. But yeah, I think Michigan beating at Ohio State by almost 30 is the best win in the country so far. But TCU has the best. I mean, they've beaten the most good teams. Like that's what TCU's done. They haven't really beat a great team, but they've beaten a lot of really good teams, and their strength of schedule is the best. So kind of how you want to weigh it out. one thing that's tough as I've been looking back at it, because I'm looking at some of these TCU wins, and it's almost like Ohio State. They beat number 5 Notre Dame. So whenever you look at it, they beat number 5 Notre Dame. Well, you could tell 2-3 weeks later that Notre Dame then was not a good football team. And I mean, you can even say, and then they got much better at the end of the season. So who did Ohio State really beat? And I mean, you can say that about TCU too, where, they were the one that, put the sword in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma was ranked. And then Oklahoma kind of came back after Gabriel recovered from getting knocked out at the TCU game. And when they, I guess it was Kansas State that slaughtered Oklahoma State. But how do you judge these teams when Oklahoma State was number 8 when TCU played them? Now they're unranked.
I love that we keep talking about Notre Dame. This was what I actually wanted to talk about. We keep talking about Notre Dame as the same team that lost to Marshall. I just want to throw that out there. I just want to throw that out there.
At home, right?
Yeah.
It's
back when they couldn't score in the first quarter, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So go ahead.
Well, go ahead and finish your thought on this before I.
Oh, no, I was going to move on to another thought. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do y'all think there's any chance? Like, do you think the top 3 are locked in?
And it's funny,
Win or
that
lose
was
this
exactly
weekend.
I had a feeling that was my question.
I think so. I think that they've demonstrated that, right? I mean, they're all undefeated into their conference championship game. It's tough. It's a tough thing on it because it's, if you have these games, they need to matter, right? But at the same time, are you going to penalize if they lose in a game another team didn't even qualify for? So it comes down to the committee. It feels like it's the committee changes every year how they view that. But I don't know. I feel like they probably are, but I don't know. Unless they get embarrassed. Like if they even get blown out.
Yeah, TCU loses by 30. Kansas State beat Oklahoma State 49-0. They do that to TCU. I don't know how you let them in, but then it's just how much for the committee's thoughts go to, well, TCU is just not a brand name, and we can put in Ohio State or Alabama or both, and what is the team that doesn't look like they belong?
If TCU doesn't lose but looks bad this weekend, and SC wins, do you think they flip flop?
No, probably not undefeated. I don't know. I mean, if they look good, potentially, because, I don't know. I think you can go either way. Honestly, make an argument with either side of that, because USC's one loss, 1 point game, they'd make that up with this weekend. But TCU's got to be feeling nervous though. I mean, it's hard. It's gonna be tough to beat Kansas State twice, and you kind of feel like your point, Survey. So like, that the committee's got to be pulling against you. Like, I don't want TCU in the playoff. They're not the brand strong enough. We'd love to have Ohio State back in there, but I think a lot of college football fans personally don't want Ohio State back in there, and probably the same with Alabama too. Like, they're probably fine with this 4 where it is. I'm pretty happy with it, but I think the top 3 are locked in. I think USC would drop if they were to fall. This weekend, they would drop out, but I don't know. I mean, I'd sit there and argue with you about 5 and 6 for a while, because I don't think Ohio State's that deserving of being in there. When you look at the entire body of work this season, not that I think Alabama's played particularly great most of the year, but when you look at results, I still think their 2 losses, albeit it's 2, still on the road against 2 really good teams in the last second. So
as time expired,
versus what Ohio State did, so at home. So.
And do we think? I mean, there's no way Alabama at this point. Alabama can never jump Ohio State, right?
I don't know.
This is what the rankings are now. How could they change that next week?
The only way they could is like if we'll say Michigan struggle. Like I don't think this will happen, but they could justify it. Michigan struggles. That's not as good of a win as we thought it was. Georgia's dominant. The SEC continues to look really strong. We'll give the nod to an Alabama in the SEC over an Ohio State team that lost at home and got dominated by a team that went out the next week and snuck by Purdue in the championship game. I think that's the only way it could happen to justify that. But I think they kind of made their bed at this point with where it is. It would definitely fire up some people if we saw some craziness happened this weekend, and Alabama snuck into 4, and Ohio State's at 5.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I wish this was it. I wish this was a year that we had a 6-team playoff, because I'd love to see TCU play Bama and Ohio State to play USC to see who plays Georgia and Michigan. That would be so much fun to me. But of course, that's just me wishing I had a crystal ball and could make
only a couple years away. Yeah, then those are gonna be some wild debates, because you're gonna have 20 teams going into the final weekend of fighting over it. All right. Anyway, sorry.
And when we talk about the committee and brand names, it's like, isn't that how you make TCU a brand name? Is you put them in there, you let them win. I mean, if you don't think TCU is going to buy as many tickets as they can possibly buy, they will. It's interesting.
Point.
I mean, TCU Michigan. If that game looks anything like that Texas TCU game, that could be a ton of fun. Just defense. Tough nose football. It can be a lot of fun, but let's not project out that far. Let's get through this week, I guess.
Nelly, have you booked any travel?
Man, it's I really here's my dream scenario is Georgia scuffles enough. I don't think they'll lose to LSU, but let's say they scuffle and then they barely sneak it out. Michigan destroys Purdue. Committee decides to make them 1. They'll be in Atlanta. That's an hour and a half down the road. So if they go to that, I'll be there. And then championship game, I got a buddy that lives in LA, so fingers crossed. If we make it out there, I feel like there's not many chances in my lifetime. I feel like if Michigan playing for national title, I'd have to make it there.
I mean, honestly, if the rankings stay the way they are right now, I think there's a damn good chance you're on your way to LA. So there's that.
We'll see.
One step at a time.
Guys, I have a conviction this week.
Let's go.
I have a conviction, and we are going to the Mountain West. We are going to the Mountain West Championship game. Boise State playing Fresno. Boise State beat Fresno by 20 points earlier this year, and they are only 3-point favorites. Lock it in.
Man, preach good words, Cerveza. What you got, brother?
I mean, if you think that since y'all saw me last, my gambling acumen has improved by any stretch of the imagination, especially on a small card like this, I have written down here Troy, Coastal Carolina over 48. The last 5 between these two have gone over, and I didn't even want to read that out loud. So maybe that, I guess, spend.
I also had that Troy over, so.
Okay. Now I feel better about it.
Yeah.
A couple that I guess I like. I like. I think Clemson, North Carolina will turn into some points being scored in that game. I know North Carolina's offense has struggled a little bit here down the stretch, and I don't know what Clemson does at quarterback. I don't know if this. I feel like at this point, DJ is the guy till the end, but. Who knows if they make a move, but North Carolina will definitely make DJ look better than he has in a while. So a 63.5, I could definitely see it being a higher scoring game and North Carolina really letting the top off. I don't know. I'm assuming, and we're actually going to be at this game. We're actually making the trip down for this one.
There we go.
I'm just assuming there's not going to be, well, 2 weeks ago, I was much more excited about it than I am
at
this point going down there, but still only football game I'll be at in person this year. So I'm excited about it. But I feel like North Carolina will have the fan base. I don't know how well. I know it's not very far for Clemson, so they'll still probably show up. But it could be one of those situations where how excited are Clemson fans right now?
Right.
Championship's a championship, no matter what. So they'll probably show up. But I think you would assume North Carolina will have a nice presence there for that one. So I like the over in that one. And then the Fresno State Boise State game, I do have a pick in, but I got a lock in that one, so I'm gonna save that one for a little bit later. It's a little bit different, but I've got to have a play in that game before it's all said and done. But that's all. Like, I don't want to get into any of the big games until we talk about them. So that's the only one I have right now that got a conviction on.
I'm not gonna lie, I had to front run you guys with that game with the Mountain West Championship because I felt like one of you were going to talk about it, and I was like, no, I'm not getting front run. This is where I'm at.
King of the Mountain West, Ben.
I've got to lock it up there before it's over with.
So we got a short conviction this week, no on the radar, and we're going to talk about these games in a minute. But just one word, What game are y'all most excited for this weekend?
Pac-12.
But yeah, I mean, I think Pac-12 is going to be the best. I guess if it's one word, so be Pac-12.
I mean, I think Big 12. I'm pretty excited. I really want to see if TCU can finish this thing off. So I'd probably say TCU. A little bit more interested
ACC
in that
game.
one. It should be. Yeah, that should be a really good one
we
too.
just lost Nelly hard.
He's had a long week. You know,
He has,
all the way to
man.
Columbia and survived.
He's had a long week. I'm gonna pull him. Okay, there he is. Okay, never mind. There he goes.
Nelly, did you have any conviction? No, he's frozen.
Nelly's frozen solid right now.
He had that Troy Coastal Carolina game.
That's right. Okay.
I don't know if there was more on that.
He looks like he's very intense in that.
It's like an episode of Black Mirror. It's like
Nelly, your conviction.
Nelly.
There we go. Well, it's the Carolina over. So basically, I guess there wasn't a lot of action this week to really dive all over, to deep dive into. And I'm glad that we're all on, I guess, the same page out here. But that game's going to be a ton of fun, across the board. Seems kind of like a sleepy weekend for conference championship games. But I think that one's going to be fun. To Spen's point, I wish that they kind of both had just one loss coming into it. I feel like it might be playing for a little bit more, but still going to be a good one. TCU, can they do it twice? Same with Utah. Can they do it twice? And I know we're going to get into those. So a lot of fun, a lot of things to watch.
Yeah, I'll even add too on that North Carolina Clemson game. I like the first quarter totals 13.5 points. So it's probably another one I'll play. A couple touchdowns in the first quarter, getting off to a quick start between those two. Whether it be Clemson scoring twice quickly, who knows? But I like that over as well.
I just can't believe that we don't have a beat on the Conference USA Championship. You know, we have no Maction love on this show. It's really sad, you know.
Somebody does later.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Hey, maybe
lock it up, baby.
Soon.
Lock it up.
What is this random Valparaiso New Mexico State game being played this weekend? Anybody have any juice on that?
No idea.
I was just I'm looking through the scoreboard and I'm like, all right, whatever. So, where are we? Let's roll. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to incorporate that into my daily life. I love that beat. All right, let's set it up. Friday night. I love that this is a Friday night game every year.
Oh yeah,
it really sets the table. Weekend, in my opinion. Utah getting 3.5.
Where's this game getting played? Is it in the San Francisco Stadium?
They've been doing it in San Francisco.
It's actually not. It is in Vegas.
Vegas. Okay. That would have been my second guess.
Cool.
One thing that's y'all brought up, you love how they kick it off on Friday. It's like, well, this is usually most people's first chance to watch any Pac-12 football. So it's good. You know, we all know Utah has the only win over USC this season. They won by 1 point on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. I expect another close, high-scoring battle because USC has no defense. I do think USC gets taken care of. They get the W, but I do think Utah is going to keep it close. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Give me the 3.5.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you as well on that. You know, it was a great first matchup. Expected to be good once again, but I think Utah is just a tough matchup for USC, and their defense is really strong. Going to give Williams some trouble in that matchup, and I think they can do. They didn't slow them down that much in the first matchup, and it was pretty even. So I expect to be kind of the same. But I just think overall, that just the defenses are going to be the difference, right? To your point, lack of defense on USC side, a strong defense on Utah side. I think they can come up with some things to give Lincoln Riley in that offense some trouble and find a way to pull the upset and win twice. Tough to do, obviously, and that's kind of a theme this weekend, but I think they can pull it off.
Man, I'm on Utah too, so I guess we'll see how it goes here. But yeah, that's the thing that makes me most nervous is beating a team twice. One of the hardest things to do in football. I think Kyle Whittingham's an unbelievable coach. You know, Cam Rising's closer to home, right? He's closer to Utah than some of his past kind of trips out there. I think Utah's defense is really good. I think anytime this kind of reminds me back of 10 years ago when you'd see a USC or an Oregon play a Stanford that was actually competent. And it's kind of that muscle is able to kind of impose its will a little bit. I feel like USC might still sneak it out, but 3.5 is too much. So go Utes.
Fight on,
Fight
baby.
on. There we
Fight
go.
on, baby. We're just going to keep rolling it. I know that first game was a close game. They're not playing in Utah this go around. They're going to be playing in Vegas. High rolling it, baby. So
that over's not a bad play either, probably.
Yes.
You're not wrong. Indoors, little action.
It's gonna be on a
there.
perfect track. Yeah.
Hey, I like that. I like that call actually. USC and the over sounds kind of nice now. I might actually bet that.
Ooh.
Saturday. Are we really starting off with LSU and Georgia on Saturday at 3? Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern. LSU 17.5-point dogs. Honestly, give me Georgia and the points. I don't think LSU scores a lot in this game, to be quite honest with you. I think Georgia cruises on this one. It might be one of those backdoor covers towards the end of the game, or whatever for LSU, but I just got to lean with Georgia here. I think they got to get their minds right before the playoffs.
Man, it's a lot of points. Man, it's a lot of points, and it's one of those when I mean, all the betting trends point to LSU. Their first top 10 opponents, they're against the spread this year as 10+ underdogs. But I just, what is LSU playing for? I mean, I think the Sugar Bowl is going to pass them over still. So it's one of those playing for a New Year's Six if they win. But I think Georgia's going to try and impose their will here and just keep the 1 seed, get that home playoff game, and play back-to-back down there in Atlanta. I just think that it's all kind of on their edge there.
Yeah, I was trying to get an update on Jaden Daniels and see kind of where he is. He's had that walking boot on this week, dealing with an ankle sprain. So say looks good, optimistic he'll be able to go this weekend. Obviously, that would kind of change things if he isn't. And even if he is, he might not be 100%. And if Georgia's getting after him and putting pressure on him, it could be a long day. I just think Georgia's a better football team overall. I still think LSU is they've been a good story. No doubt about it. Kelly had a good first year, but I just don't think they're that strong as a football team right now at this point. And obviously, the last few weeks kind of showed that a little bit with the Arkansas game, the kind of way it was, and then this A&M game. I mean, giving up the offense they give up to them. I think they'll be able to move the ball quite easily, Georgia. And I think 17.5, you could see that. You could see Georgia in that position first half because you have the experience with Georgia now. They're comfortable in this game. They're at home. They're in their backyard. They have all the fans. LSU will travel, but they'll still have a vast majority. They're going to look tough. And I think we're going to kind of answer the question, hey, is Georgia the team to beat for sure heading in to the playoffs? And I think the answer will be a resounding yes. I just think I can see it being like 45, 45-17, something like that.
I go back and forth. I mean, I've just seen Georgia play with their food a little too much this year that I worry, can they turn it on? Can they turn it off? LSU, they got to want to bounce back after last week. I mean, that was just embarrassing. You were talking about the kind of home field advantage. My buddy went to a Georgia LSU. I think that's what it was. SEC championship. He said it was 70% Georgia fans. Jaden's a big story. All these things I said make you think I'm probably going to lean Georgia, but I just think that half on the 17 is a whole lot. LSU is the second or third best team that Georgia's played all season. So, yeah, give me the points.
There we go.
Moving right along. Big 12 championship, K-State not at TCU, playing in Jerry's World. TCU 2.5-point favorite. Yep, Jerry World. They'll never not play the Big 12 championship game in Jerry's World. So that's just an automatic now. Man, I'm rolling with the Frogs, man. They had a really rough game against K-State when they first played. K-State, honestly, you could argue really should have won that game. But, I think TCU does enough to get it done and get into the playoffs. Surely they're not going to do what Cerveza thinks they're going to do this weekend. Surely it's not going to happen, right?
Tell us what you think, Mesa.
Well, so TCU was down 10 points and came back and won in the first game. I got a kind of a funny story. I was at a birthday party and TCU games on against Baylor, and I'm just spouting off about how TCU is going to lose by a field goal at the end. I mean, we all know it, and they were struggling with Baylor, and one of the guys there was a TCU fan, and he's just on pins and needles, and my other buddy is just talking about how Baylor's going to win. There's no doubt. Just like kind of, he's got a shit-eating grin on. He's like goading me about it, and I was just sitting there like being way too cocky, just like not sweating a bit. Like, TCU is going to win this game. There's never going to be a question in my mind. Like, the stars have aligned it. They did all that terrible play calling where they spiked it first, and then they ran the play, so they had to run the kicker on the field to kick the ball. I mean, awful.
That was wild.
Yeah, I mean, and then there was another game that somebody did that. I think it was the Michigan game where they did that too. And it's like, what are y'all doing? Anyways, listen, I like TCU. I want TCU to win. I want TCU to go undefeated and get into the playoffs. But if the stars aligned it, the stars aligned it. Kansas State 28, TCU 27, field goal as time expired. The only way something different will happen is if it's 38-37. But give me K-State, give me the 2.5. But secretly, I hope TCU makes the playoff.
Fair enough. I'm with you on that. I think Kansas State, they had them down, had them beat first time through at TCU, had the 21 answered, and Will Howard's been playing pretty well for Kansas State in place of Adrian Martinez, and that was his first game of the season was TCU when he came out in there. So much more prepared, much more experienced, and you got to feel like they have confidence, right, going into this game to line up against TCU and be able to beat them. So, look, if TCU wins this game, they've earned that shot to take on Michigan. Whoever it is in the playoff, it would be an impressive run for Sonny Dykes for sure to get there because they came off the radar completely to get here. So unfortunately, I think we've seen this story before, Cerveza, and I'm with you that I think K-State goes out and takes care of business.
By the way, so I'm actually looking at my picks for the week, and I actually picked K-State in this game. Like, I actually just went back and looked because I was loading up our picks, and I was like, wait, that's a K-State logo, not a TCU logo. But anyways, maybe they'll win by a point. Maybe TCU will win by a point or two. So
there we go. Well, hey, I do have the Frogs, which I basically went in this because everything's telling me not to. I think K-State wins this game outright, but there's just something about the Frogs, something about being this close after 2014. Dugan's been playing so well, Johnson. I just think that TCU has enough to get through this. It'd be beautiful indoors there, nice balmy, 67 degrees. We'll be slinging it all over the yard. I don't feel confident in this, but I'd love to see TCU make it because it'd be great for football. And I just think that they accomplish what is one of the hardest things to do, which I just did again. So there's no way that these are going to both hit TCU wins. So
well, the one thing I can guarantee you that's going to win Saturday in Jerry's world is the color purple.
There we go.
Good.
Hey,
purple out.
You're not wrong there. There we go. Purdue not at Michigan. Purdue and Michigan 16.5 point favorites. Yeah, Indianapolis. Wasn't that where the Big 12 championship was at first before Jerry's World got built? I'm trying to remember where it was at. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I'm completely dumb right now.
I could be wrong.
I actually don't think Michigan covers this spread, guys.
Ooh, boil the rep.
Michigan's going to win. I just don't think they win by more than 16.5. That's kind of where I'm at here. Someone tell me I'm
wrong. We're waiting on you, brother.
All right, so a couple things from this year. Really tough, unfortunate situation for the Purdue starting quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, who's a superstar in his own right. Brother passed away this week, so unsure if he's going to play or not. Obviously, tough circumstances weighing on them either way. When you look at what Purdue does really well is, really strong offense, horrific defense. I just think I struggle to see how Purdue is going to score consistently in this game. I think they'll have a scripted drive, and then I think they'll have something else that breaks out. But Michigan's not going to score a ton. I actually like the under in this one a lot. Speaking of unders earlier, it was almost one I threw out there. But I think Michigan kind of just sits on them, kind of similar, the Iowa game last year in the Big Ten championship. Get out slowly, methodically, get to a lead. Don't really try and do too much. Just kind of sit on it and get to the end.
Yeah, these two haven't played very much. I'm surprised looking through their series history. They have not hadn't played in 5 years. And then they've only played once in 10 years. So not a lot to go on in terms of how these teams matched up recently. But I didn't realize that about O'Connell. I'd not kept up to the news too much this week. So I think that's always interesting, kind of dynamic how a player responds. It looks like he is planning on starting, but you just never know, right? I mean, he could elevate his game to that different level, or it could just be a complete distraction with him not being able to practice a whole lot this week. So that is an interesting dynamic. But I think Michigan's just a better team. Purdue does some things well, right? They throw the ball well, but Michigan just doesn't give up a lot of big plays, and I think Michigan can just kind of strangle them and find ways to shut down that offense. So I think Michigan doesn't have a lot of trouble in this game. I hope they do. I hope it's interesting, just for the sake of good football. But there's not a lot to get excited for in this matchup.
It's not a fun game.
No, I think Harbaugh gets it done.
I had a feeling that you guys were all going to go against me on this one, so that's why I went Purdue, honestly.
So you didn't think we were going to go against you? You wanted to go against us?
Oh,
nice. Clarify.
Actually, you're kind of spot on.
No, I mean, I think we've seen how Michigan plays football, and y'all just said it, in two different ways, or the same way twice, and I'll say it the same way a third time. Get out to that early lead, just kind of roll over them. So, I mean, exactly what y'all said. I'll lay the points.
Well, y'all are all against me.
This year it's been the right
good or bad
place
how the season's gone. Yeah, that's right.
I don't even know where this game's being played, to be honest. Is it like Memphis or something?
I think it's at Tulane. I think it's at Tulane.
Is it?
I think the AAC gets to host, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's actually dope. UCF, Tulane. Tulane's given 3.5. Boys, I'm sticking with the home state team here. I'm going with Tulane. I think they get it done, and they are New Year's 6 bowl bound with this victory, which is crazy to think about.
I really don't know what to expect in this one. I didn't watch a whole lot of the first matchup, but I'm Tulane's a better story, and I'm pulling for them to get through there. I love their colors, love the logo, love New Orleans Cerveza, right? So,
that's right.
It's a great Malzahn spot. I don't like the 3.5 necessarily, but I think Tulane, second time through at home, finds a way to win.
So just for the record, UCF came to Tulane
like 3 weeks ago
and really put it on them for 3 quarters. Like it was, I want to say it was like 31-14 in the third quarter. Yeah. So, it ended up being 38-31 because they scored some points at the end, but UCF really put it on them. So we'll see.
It's funny how you were saying, I said all these things. I thought one team was going to win, and then I looked and I picked the other team. I mean, all of these notes I made was when I was going to pick Tulane. Last game, UCF ran all over Tulane. Tulane had 2 turnovers. UCF had no turnovers. I think Tulane's going to be focused and finish. These are all the things I wrote, and then I picked UCF. They'll get after UCF. They'll shut down the run, and I'm looking at it. It's just like I expect this to be a close game. I think they're going to win, and I'm just playing the number. I'm playing the number. UCF +3.
Playing the hook, man. You know what? Cerveza, I'm absolutely with you, man. For the third time today, I'm picking a team to win for a second time in the season. Surely that's not going to blow up in my face. So, hey, we'll go Knights. I think Malzahn puts them in a good spot. Tulane finally beat a ranked team last week for the first time since 1960. Can they do it in back-to-back? I'll take the Knights. Take the points.
Okay. Did I miss Spin? Did I miss your take on this?
Yeah, you did.
It was excellent. It was great.
It was phenomenal. As always.
I just ended up losing. Whatever.
We got one more.
All right, here is the picks for the week. Hey,
ACC. We didn't hit it, but
I'm
the only one on Clemson this week.
Wait,
wow.
that's not even up here. I thought Jigga was going to have this whole thing ready for me, and I'm sitting here going through these that he had put in
Throwing
here.
Jig onto the bus.
No, I mean,
Yeah, Twitter
100%.
Space is famous now.
If you guys look at the bottom here, it tells you who put stuff in, and so I put like this stuff in, and I just realized that when y'all mentioned it.
Yeah.
I'll
go back one slide. Go back one slide real quick.
Clemson, to me, I go back and let's look back at the defense is what it comes down to with North Carolina, and they're just not playing. It's not playing well right now down the stretch either. And, Drake May has had an incredible season, but he's kind of come back down to earth a little bit. I still think there'll be points scored, but I just think Clemson will be in control of this game. I just think, and this is also one that even if it's back and forth, Clemson could easily tack one on late here too to win. But I see it as like a 10 to 13 point win for Clemson.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a backdoor cover. That's what I believe. I think Clemson's up 2 touchdowns with 5 to go, and I think Carolina gets one to punch it in the end. Offense is really good. What concerns me with Clemson is to Spen's point earlier, it's Dabo's loyalty or indecision or whatever you want to call it in a time of crisis there with his quarterback situation. Well, if there's any sort of scuffling in this one or back and forth, what does he do then? I just think Carolina's able to keep it. The hook is what got me. If it was 6.5, I'd go Clemson. Give me 7.5, UNC.
Yeah, playing the number. I feel like in Clemson games all season long, and mostly ACC games all season long, I've just been taking the points. I mean, 7.5 seems like a lot for an offense I don't super trust. So, nothing elite all over the field. Give me the heels, please.
What do you trust less, the Clemson offense or the North Carolina defense?
Oh man,
so you have to ask.
I think that game's gonna be so much fun.
Well, no, I mean, the problem is if you can't put points on the board. I mean, it's tough, and I guess I just trust that North Carolina's gonna be able to keep up. I trust they're gonna be able to keep up. Yeah,
hope so.
I think they can.
It should be fun.
I just can't believe I can't believe that you're giving up on them right here.
Well, NC State was my team. I think North Carolina. I think
right.
they got a great chance. I just think Clemson's just a better team overall, and they're more experienced here. And North Carolina does find ways to lose games they're not supposed to, especially in big spots. They've done that here down the stretch. So I don't trust them too much. I still trust Clemson overall as a team. And maybe look, if Dabo does put DJ on the sideline for a little bit, I think it'll only spark that offense for Clemson. So we'll see if he makes that move. I don't think he will, but we'll see.
Yeah, shout out to me picking DJ for a Heisman run this year.
DJ.
Yeah, what a great one that was.
DeCatcher, do me a favor.
Yes.
Go back 2 slides. Go back to the overall standings, because I just want to say I'm so glad we had.
Why do we go back here?
Because I'm so glad we had last week off. Because Nelly would be like 3 games up on me. So good run.
Hey, we're charging hard.
Great run, Nelly.
Nelly really has been on one hell of a run. Like, I think you've been knocking it out of the park lately. Because weren't you up by like double digits, Cerveza?
I was up massive, and the only thing I can hang on to now is right now it's like a 53% win percentage, which technically makes you a winner. When
That's
you
right.
count the juice. So
that's right.
I'm just
baby.
trying to scratch it out, baby.
Keep on
Shout out
winning.
to nobody getting 50 wins, but me getting 50 losses. Shout out.
It's not over yet. I could sweep them, and we'll be talking 50.
There we go.
50 losses,
there we go.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Locked record. I mean,
I could be under 500 if it goes poorly.
Spin
has been the king of the locks this season, honestly.
The lock
Nelly,
king.
you're not far behind, but yeah, you're definitely Spin has been the lock king. So let's see who we pick this week. I mean, I tipped you on the convictions. Like, this is 100% where I was going, and I wasn't letting anybody front run me on it. Boise State rolls.
It's like, you didn't tip us. You just told us straight up.
Yeah, no, I straight up told you. Like, I wasn't letting anybody do this to me. I wanted it.
Man,
let's go left to right. What you got, Nelly?
Let me tell you a few things about Ohio here. So they are currently on an 8 consecutive cover streak, best in the country.
Wow.
They are 7-0 ATS in conference games this year. Ohio's top 50 run defense. Toledo is 2-3 down the stretch straight up, 0-5 ATS. Backup CJ Wilson on Ohio is phenomenal. This line is crazy to me. So Ohio starter all season long, got banged up, knocked out, didn't start last week. CJ Wilson comes in, gets 50 yards running, 250 plus passing. This line to me seems crazy. I feel like Ohio should be favored in this one. Get your money and run. Bet the money line on it. Take a little juice out of it. Stay for a little ride.
I like it. The conviction is still low, guys. So when you're looking at my locks, take a drink before you hit enter or submit, whatever your site says. But first I look at the game, I'm like, this game's going to go under. Started looking at it more. Obviously, last time 43-42 for all the math majors out there. I believe that's 85 points. So we know these teams can hit it. We've got two of the top offenses in the country, points per game. Utah's 14th, USC's number 3. USC's defense, we talked about, it's very leaky. It almost can't stop anybody except for Notre Dame. They're 58th, giving up 26 points a game. Utah's defense is pretty darn good. Number 23, they give up 21.3 points per game. But there's been 2 games where both teams have scored a ton, and that was USC and that was UCLA. They're having trouble with the more explosive teams and the more mobile quarterbacks. And on top of that, Utah can definitely score. We know they can score. They put up 60 last week or something like that. I know that was Colorado, but they put up 30 and 40 a bunch of time this season. So I just think this is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like we said earlier, a perfect track. And assuming they cannot stop the USC offense, they're going to be able to keep up. So let's go over 68 in Pac-12 championship game.
Let's go. It's fun bet. That's a fun bet to root for too.
Yeah.
Well, I had to go Mountain West to finish out the year, and
Hell yeah.
we got super specific on what we're going with. Because I think it's going to be a good game because Jay Kaner is now back for Fresno. He wasn't there against Boise, and his offense has been really good under Hainer. Great team total play the last few weeks for Fresno. So it's a little bit of a rematch here, and Boise I think is playing better too than maybe they were early in the year. So I think this could be a really good game. 2 of the top programs in the Mountain West. I think Boise's been in 5 championships and Fresno's been in 4. So ultimately, to me, though, Fresno's been a good team out of the gates early on. And with Hainer and a quarterback, I just think their offense is going to move the football. And he's one of the best quarterbacks, maybe the most underrated quarterback in the country. He gets it done. He's a warrior and plays hard. And I just like them to come out and score points in this game. I looked at a couple different angles on the points, but ultimately to settle on the first quarter, they scored at least 7 in like 4 or 5 straight first quarters. I think the last thing they didn't was Hainer's first game back after getting injured this year. So ever since then, they've been rolling offensively. So I'm jumping on them. I'm going against you a little bit, Doc. I think they have a good chance to win, but it's on the blue turf. So obviously that makes it a little bit tougher, but the weather's going to be clear. It looks like just cold, but clear. So give me that first quarter team total over 3.5.
I feel like I honestly want to go make that bet. I just don't know where to make it. Like, is that like what app are you using to make that bet?
You could probably find that most places.
I'm gonna have to dig for that because I honestly
want
to do a first quarter team total now because that just sounds.
I love
like
first quarter team total.
Yeah, I like it.
DJ play there, so
it's good stuff right there.
Yeah,
just drive to the Nugget and tell them to take your bet. Damn it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what though? I've got 5 right here around me, so I don't have the Nugget near me, but yeah, no. Well, all right. Is there anything you guys want to end off with before we head out for the evening?
Yeah, I want to thank EJ again for the Spencer Rattler graphic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And,
very good.
We got some new guys in the chat today. Appreciate you coming and checking out the show. I guess go K-State if we're playing the favorites here.
I'll say this too, Doc. I went and looked up that New Mexico State game because that's the team that obviously I always pay attention to when they're playing because they're usually bad. They had a nice win last week. They literally just scheduled Valparaiso yesterday. Because that San Jose State game got canceled because one of their players got killed earlier this year. So they were down a game and they have 5 wins. I guess they're trying to get to 6. So Valparaiso, they gave them a call and Valparaiso said we'll play. So I don't know if a line will get posted for that on Saturday, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye out because I think I think New Mexico State they'll be much more motivated to get that win, coming off a big win against Liberty. Like, I'm willing to lay some points with New Mexico. I don't know what that number is going to be. I have no clue.
Yeah.
We'll post, but I'll definitely be looking for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just have another good week of football. You know?
Right.
We're getting
games.
down to bowl season.
Getting close to bowl season, baby.
When
Let's
I feel
keep
like
it rolling.
nothing matters until after Christmas because, I don't know. So
bowl season's the best, man.
actually,
Almost
I'm curious to see who's going to play in the Independence Bowl this year. Down here in Louisiana because that's my backyard bowl game. So I'm real curious to see who brings 20 fans here because there'll be about 150 total, and we'll see how that goes. So
it's been fun, boys.
Real quick, anybody got USA Saturday morning?
No.
Ooh, that's a tough game against Dutch, man.
No. Hey, but I love the fact that if Australia wins too, though, on Saturday, we could get a USA Australia. What is that? Quarterfinals? That'd be kind of wild.
I think we got a shot. I don't know what Pulisic status is going to be, but I think we got a shot. That's all you can ask.
What do they call it? A pelvic contusion? Or something like that? Yeah. That's
never had one, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds tough. So.
I'm trying to get one of those every weekend. I don't know about y'all.
No, hopefully my Germans win tomorrow. I'm a big German soccer guy, so love the Bundesliga. So the Farmers League, as they call it. So hey, let's just have a good weekend of football and hopefully we'll see y'all next week.
Coach Kenny, give him hell.
Peace.
Go Blue.